Hey folks, we're back. Had a great holiday weekend and back in the saddle here with some more martial powers on Tuesdays. Here we are. Give me a second here to check my signal. I'll go through my intro spiel and then we'll dive into this for an hour or so. I'll go through my intro spiel. Whoa, that is very loud, my friend. Whoo dilly. Let's check my volume here real fast. Yeah, we're sitting pretty. Okay, cool. Let's see. Beep, beep, beep. Let's get into my intro spiel here, and then we'll have at this for an hour or so. Okay, great. So, hey, my name's Phil. I create role-playing game supplements. I publish them online as PDFs. Currently, I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. There is a slew of content that I have produced on the DMsGuild.com already that is available for y'all to take a look at down in the description down below. Amongst those books, there's probably about 150 different illustrations that I've produced for interior artwork as well as covers, and all the work is 100% preview cover to cover. So if you're a D&D enthusiast, you can check out the mechanics and stuff that I've built. If it resonates with you, consider making a purchase to support the channel. Other than that, I just went live, or I've just posted that I'm live on Twitter at Phil Kearney. Link down below to follow me on Twitter as well. And let's see, other way to follow the channel is to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notification of when I am live in the future with other works as well. Let's get this out of the way. And then, okay, great. So also in the description down below, there's a link to my Patreon. I'd certainly love to have your support for $1 or more a month. That'd be awesome. But more importantly, there is a read-only document for you to play along in the martial power system as we continue to develop it. It's read-only and it's not the final mechanics. So you can use this content to build your own characters, to play in a campaign anywhere from level 1 to 20. It's built for all tiers. I'm currently playtesting at level 18 at my own home table every week. So far, everything's coming along pretty perfectly. So I'm rather happy with the progress. But the project where we're at right now, where we're at right now in the project is we are converting each of the individual barbarian, fighter, and rogue prestige. Fighter, barbarian, no, it's fighter. There you go. The fighter, barbarian, and rogue subclasses into the martial powers paradigm, the same as we had done with the paladin, monk, and ranger. I'm going to say back around episode 40 of this playlist. So if you like and subscribe, you'll catch up with me every week as we continue pushing through this. In the mornings, we're working on the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration art for publishing that on the DMs Guild. We also typically on Mondays and Thursday nights, but I'll be, actually tonight, I'll be working on Eberron cartography for the Eberron adventure that we'll be publishing on DMs Guild. And then this is the third project that we're working on, Martial Powers. So once the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book comes off of our workbench and gets published, that pushes the Eberron adventure forward into the Monday through Saturday morning slot. And that puts this Martial Powers project onto our evening workbench of Mondays and Thursdays. So everything moves up in priority, and then we'll backfill our Tuesday stream. I'm not honestly 100% sure what I'll be putting in the Tuesday stream, but we're starting to get into the finish side. I mean, we're swishing the drain on the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. That is... We're in art production, so it's just a matter of time now before that gets published, just basically when the pixels get pushed. But, hey, Goblin, it's great to see you, my dude. Makes me feel like badasses. Thanks for the vote of encouragement, man. I was not 100% satisfied with where we left the Arcane Archer last week. And my week is, my whole, with the holiday, I got kidnapped to a barbecue over the weekend, so that was awesome, but it also scuttled my plans. So God bless to my Gallon friends for getting me out into the wilderness for a little while. We've got a 20-minute block here. We're going to keep tapping through, probably for about 100 minutes maybe. of content, and then we'll kick out of here. What is it? It's 1 o'clock-ish now, so we're going to do that. But yeah, last week I was not content with where we left the Arcane Archer, so I wanted to come back and readdress that. Mostly how to address this. Okay, so using the system that we've built as a fighter, using the Marshal Point system, they're going to have up to 20 points at 20th level. Okay, so, and the top rank arrow, the highest rank, 4th rank arrow that an Arcane Archer can fire is going to be a banishing strike. A banishing strike costs 4 mana to perform. The Arcane Archer out of the player's handbook gains 2 shots every short rest, and long rest. So they start the day with 1, and if you're going to get, say, 2 short rests per day, so you start off with 1, 2, and then you take your short rest 3, 4, and then you take your short rest 5, 6. So you're going to have, if things are pacing the way they're supposed to pace according to 5e, and we'll see how that changes with 1D&D, but if we're sticking with the spirit of how the Arcane Archer was built, they should be able to fire up to 6 banishing arrows per day. And if we're using the 4 points equals banish mechanic or balance that we have in the system right now, if you're going to be able to do that 6 times a day, and it's going to cost 4 mana each, that's going to tell us that you're going to be somewhere around 24 mana per day, which this guy doesn't necessarily have. There are less expensive arrows like repelling shot and all these other things that cost less mana to perform. But I think the real stickler that we got to when we were working on this design last week that didn't get really addressed is just how little resource the Arcane Archer has. 2 magic shots per short rest is fucking ridiculous. And I think that's something that everybody universally agrees with. Now, the solution that we provide here is that we have 20 mana per day. It's similar to an Eldritch Knight that would be able to use that mana to spend on arcane shots anywhere from 1 to 4 mana apiece. So if you're sticking with your low-end mana, you're going to have considerably more shots per day than 6. But I think what really is falling behind here is that the Arcane Archer doesn't have any features other than strikes. We pretty much looked through, and all the different types of strikes they have is like the pierce, is the restraining strike, phase strike, blinding strike, precise attack, delusional strike, bursting strike, banishing strike, and then we have the curse of enfeeblement, which is a maneuver. So, but that's basically all the Arcane Archer gets. So we infused some more added value, I suppose, because the magic arrow is kind of redundant because it makes magic arrows, magical for for overcoming resistance. But any shot that's going to use an alternate damage type is going to be considered magical anyway. So that's kind of a redundant feature. And then the arcane shot itself, which starts to equip you. Maybe the short bow can be used in normal range. We basically allow the class is basically allowing you to make ranged smite attacks, like the barbarian. Can you tell I'm out of practice? Even just after a long weekend, I'm really rough today. So forgive the roughness, but I'm trying to get someplace here. The paladin has smite spells. Those smite spells can only be used with melee attacks. The Arcane Archer is basically converting smite spell effects into arcane arrows that they can fire at range. Technically, the Arcane Archer should be a paladin subclass, but the flavor of it is mixing magic with archery to create these magical effects, which isn't divine by nature. It's themed as arcana, but the quick skinny of it is that essentially this is just a ranged smite build with severe restrictions. We're already seeing in 1D&D they're dabbling around with the idea of just lifting the restrictions of ranged smites altogether, which met some considerable feedback from the audience as a whole. There is a flavor identity that goes along with the idea of smite, which we preserved in the martial power system by all these classes can have strike powers, which do mimic the smite spell selection, but paladins basically can outsmite anybody. They have more smite leverage, they get extra dice at no cost, so they're going to do more damage if they're in melee. And anyone can use strikes with a thrown weapon up to normal range. And then you can take either as a ranger, fighter maneuvers, fighting style, or you can take a sustained power that lets you imbue ranged attacks with strikes. So you can override, a paladin, a ranger, monk, anybody can override the melee smite only option by expending, basically they have to basically have like a concentration spell that they trigger to be able to allow them to imbue their weapon to be able to make ranged attacks. So with smite spells, essentially. So, but the Arcane Archer, that's all they get to do, while everybody else also gets to do it. So what we need to do is add in more value to the Arcane Archers so they can fulfill that fantasy of having just shitloads of magic arrows that they're firing at stuff without making the class feel empty at the same time. Because if we just go with this list of different strikes that they get as just a pre-built power list that frees them up a shitload of, they get 16 other powers that they can learn, which is a ton of value for them to be able to build out any kind of kit that they want for the character. And we've spent a lot of previous episodes looking at how you can take the different powers that we have here to arrange them into different action loops and what's the word I'm looking for? Fantasy depiction, like the kind of feats the kind of powers and feats that you take with this power selection is basically going to help you identify what your character's role is in the party and how you're going to use your action economy between your action, like your attacks, your bonus actions, and your reactions and movement. All of the powers that we have in here allow you to dump mana onto those different action economy decisions to be able to get more performance out of your character. But since the Arcane Archer, all it is I smite with a bow. I don't feel like there's enough value added into the subclass itself to be able to really call it complete. So that's what we're going to continue to explore today. And assuming everything goes well, we may decide to dive into something else. We'll see where it goes. But I want to catch up here real quick. Hey, Alan, it's good to see you, my guy. Arcane Archer plus Hail of Arrows, Gober. Right on, my guy. Let's see. So we have. So what have we been doing? We've got the Arcane Shot, which we had sitting as you gain ranged assault. The maneuver range assault for free, but then we further down modified it to simple it down to what it is. So at 3rd level, you can channel strikes through attacks made using a short bow or longbow within normal range. And then we'll go at 13th level, you can channel strikes through. You can, at 13th level, this improves to attacks at any range. That's probably efficient enough for now until I hire an editor to make the words sound smart. So you gain the subclass at 3rd, which are still inside of 1st rank powers. And at 13th level, you've upgraded to 4th rank powers, which is the maximum rank power that even though you can have up to 5 ranks of powers tapped, or you can have a maximum amount of mana that you channel per power 5 at 17th level, it actually caps at 4 ranks. No power is more than 4 ranks of power, more than 4 mana cost at 13th level. So you actually hit the capstones of what this power system can do pretty early. Like if you're playing Descent into Avernus, you'd be able to pop off the best abilities inside of this system by 13th level. It'll be expensive, but you can do it. But that would allow you to play a normal WotC campaign from level like whatever to 15. You'll still be able to dip in and get like the high end shit, the really good stuff, right? So the power system curves pretty nicely. So 3rd to 13th, 13th level is when you get your max rank powers. That's a good place for us to be able to upgrade this ability. So at 7th level, Magic Arrow, everything becomes magical, and you can choose a damage type, which we discussed last week. You get to choose the damage type that you want to use for your weapon, which draws from the master list of weapon damage types. There's 10 of them. Lightning, there we go. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison are basic damage types, and then the advanced damage types at 5th level is force, necrotic, psychic, radiant, and thunder. So you can't select these advanced damage types until you get to 5th level. This Magic Arrow gives you any of them, any of these 10 at 7th level, which is a slower pace than, like, you could pick up force damage at 5th level or 6th level. When you level up, you can change out all your powers. So if you wanted to, say, gain force damage at 5th level, you could pay for it, but then by 7th level, you could decide to cash that in, switch it out for a feat or a different power, and just make Magic Arrow, I gain force damage all the time if I want. Sorry, I got a rogue hair in my lip. There you go. Curving Shot. So 7th level also, you learn how to direct an errant arrow towards a new target. When you make an attack roll with a magic arrow and miss, you can use a reaction to re-roll, attacking a different target within 60 feet of the original target. This is something you can always do, and once you have magic arrow and say dealing force damage, you're always using magical arrows, so you can always use Curving Shot. You can always use your reaction to get another shot at another target if you happen to miss. That actually is pretty huge value. Normally being able to re-roll like that is an exploit that would cost you 1 mana. So that unto itself is giving you a considerable amount of value, but it's limited. Rogue hair. Least it's a barbarian hair. How about that? So the Curving Shot, you're getting value there. Now we're looking at the high end of the class. Efficient. God, there's a lot of shit that loads into this class at 7th level. 7th, 10th, 13th, 10. That's what I want to do. What are... God damn it, I've forgotten. Let's go to D&D Beyond. And let's go pluck the fighter real quick. Somehow forgotten what subclass levels they get shit. So let's go remember that real quick, shall we? 18th level, 18th level, 15th level, 15th level, 10th level. Thank you. $10, $15, $8. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, great. So let's see. How are we doing this now? I've done that twice apparently. Okay, so what I want to do is to really make this guy just freaking rock out. So at 10th, 15th, and 18th level, we're giving them Efficient Shot. So basically, the way we have it worded here is choose one strike from your list of choose one strike from your list of bonus powers. And here's our list of, you should probably call it bonus power list from our bonus power list. Choose one strike from your bonus power. And again, this if you click in the description down below on the Patreon link that I have, you can open up this document and read along with me if you want. It's read only, but it's all here in its garbled text that we have. But it should be clear enough for you guys to be able to build your own classes if you want, and start using the content today in your own playtesting. If you do, drop me a comment in Patreon or on my Discord links, And let me know if you're enjoying it and if you see any shortcomings. I would certainly appreciate the feedback. So far, it's been pretty positive, but I'm sure there are efficiencies that we can find to improve it overall. It is far from finished yet. So, efficient shot. Choose one strike from your bonus power list from your bonus power list above. Oh my God, my buttons. This is the day I'm having. Welcome to it. Above. You can reduce the rank and mana cost by 1 to a minimum of 1. You can select the same strike more than once. That is not the right way to word this. Choose, let's do, how do we want to word this? Strike powers you know from, there we go. Strike powers you know from your bonus power list above are reduced. The rank, still working with the wording here. The rank and mana cost of all strike powers, it should be capitalized, strike powers you know from your bonus power list above are reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. Efficient shot. Let's do this again. Reduced by 2. Reduced by 3. Okay, so now that means that all the powers that are on the bonus power list that are strikes, the restraining strike, blinding strike, delusional strike, bursting strike, banishing strike, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, fuck, they get 5 of them. That's fat. Since the maximum rank of a power is 4. What we've done here is at 10th level, all of your strike powers on all 5 of these strikes are reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. And then at 15th level, they're all reduced by 2 to a minimum of 1. And at 18th level, they're reduced by 3 to a minimum of 1. So that means that if you're sticking to your strike power list on your bonus power list, no matter which one it is, no matter what rank it's at, it only costs you 1 mana to use it, which is fucking sick. Let's take a look real quick let's look at the real outlier here, which is Banishing Strike. Banishing Strike is by far the I think the nastiest of these. Banishing Strike, your damage increases by 1 power die per mana burned. The creature must make a charisma saving throw or be banished and incapacitated. The creature must make another saving throw. The creature makes another saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect if successful. And then add language for reappearing same space as nexus. Obviously, I haven't completed the writing on that. But so if it's 4th rank right now, which means that under normal circumstances, it costs 4 mana for you to be able to use a Banishing Strike. And what we've effectively done, by the time you hit 18th level, we reduced the cost of this by 3. But if you only spend 1 mana, you're only going to do 1 power die. And at 18th level, it does D10. So if you chose to, you could spend up to 5 mana, doing 5d10 extra damage on top of your arrow strike damage, and then force a saving throw, and if they fail, be banished until they can succeed the saving throw and come back. But by using this efficient power, it reduces the rank down to 1. So that means that if I'm only going to channel 1 mana while using this power, I am now going to deal, at 18th level, 1d10 extra damage, but I still get the chance to banish the character, or to banish the target. That is essentially the same as what the Banishing Arrow does from the Arcane Archer. The big difference here is that it lasts for however long it takes for the creature to make its charisma saving throw to come back, which could be the entire battle or even longer. You don't get this you pick this up at 13th level, and it'll cost you 2 mana at 13th level. And then by 8, and then no, you pick it up at 13th level. It'll cost you 10th level. Drop by. It'll cost you. You'd reduce it by 1, so that makes it 3 mana to use it at 13th level. Then at 15th level, it only costs 2, and then at 18th level, it only costs 1. And if you decide to use that little mana, you're going to do significantly less damage. But again, you get that charisma saving throw. When we go back and visit the DMs section here, all the different powers that are in this book are things that creatures can pick up as reactions and bonus actions and lair actions and legendary actions to augment their own options. So if you're fighting, like if you as a DM, if you're looking at this, and I have an Arcane Archer on my team, and at 18th level, this guy could potentially banish up to 20 creatures per day using the power economy that we have here. So if the DM is opposed to that idea, and it's a special creature, then you can just allocate some of that creature's some of its resources to getting saving throws, advantage on saving throws against effects that would make it teleport or something like that. Or like advantage on charisma saving throws. Or it can't be banished. Like you have these different options of things that you can just add to the character to either make these things more difficult to do or to make your creatures immune to them if you're going to be a dick about it. Normally I like characters to be able to do stuff but make it more difficult for them to do it. So that would force a character to spend extra mana to push that target into a disadvantage on their charisma saves. If it's only going to cost me 1 mana to try to banish this guy, and I make my banishing shot and I fail, and I have 16 other powers that I could choose from over the course of my career that I can switch out every time I gain a level, then it's... Where am I at? Here I am. I get 16 powers other than the bonus list that I already have. So I could easily pick up like Curse of Weakness, for instance, and give them disadvantages on their saving throws against my powers. So I can dump extra mana into that specific target, and that buys up the cost again to neutralize the bonuses that I as a DM am going to give key creatures. If it's just like a grunt or something that's running around, you just want to get them out of your face, you pop them with a banishing arrow because it only costs you 1 mana, just get out of here. Easy peasy. It probably at 18th level, that D10 isn't going to kill them, but it is going to get them off the board for a while. So it could be worth like 1 point to get rid of like a dispeller or like an artillerist or a brute that's pushing its way through your midline because it has like, I don't know, like a jaunt attack or flicker pounce, stuff like that. You want to get him off the board so he doesn't mess up your back line. You can hit him with a banishing arrow, just spend 1 mana. It won't do a lot of damage to him, but it will force that charisma saving throw to get him off the board. So what are we talking about down here? 18 level Arcane Archer just sending every minion to the to the boss of the Shadow Realm. Exactly, right? Like, that's the kind of crap that you expect a high-level fighter to be able to do. I mean, obviously, we're augmenting him with a lot of magical abilities, but the Arcane Archer now becomes just supreme at doing this stuff with a bow. Specifically with a bow. If he picks up a hammer, he can still use a banishing strike, but if he hits somebody with a hammer, it's going to cost him 4 mana to do it. Only when he's using his bow is he going to be able to get these advantages, because that's what it's keyed to, because that's the action fantasy you're fulfilling, the Mega Legolas, as it were. Mega Legolas, I like that. We'll keep that. But yeah, that's the quick, skinny idea behind the change here. So I want to make sure that everything feels good, but I mean, like, if you're wanting... With 16 other powers that you can pick up and strikes costing so little, there's just a fuck ton you can do with this character now, which makes it like honestly a pretty goddamn viable pick. So I like to think that this now becomes like a serious contender. Like, if I want to do ranged stuff, Arcane Archer is a really strong pick. That's 18th level, and you could blend it. I mean, the 18th level is kind of a cutoff, but you could like say blend, like go like 15 fighter, 5 ranger, and pick up some ranger spells up to 2nd level, as well as have like ranger fighting maneuver, ranger fighting styles, as well as pick up like say Beastmaster or like Gloomstalker or whatever type of ranger subclass that you want and still get up to 15 level features with it at 20th. So you'll get a larger mana pool in general using the ranger blending in. Like you'll get an extra, you'll end up getting an extra 5. You'll at 5th level you'll get 10 from ranger and then 15 from the fighter. You'll end up with 25 mana, and you'll still, your arrows, like banishing arrows, still only cost you 2 as opposed to 1. So that's debatable. But I think that's a really great conundrum for a player to actually have to think about. Like, how far do I want to push my Arcane Archer? Should be like any subclass, any class in D&D. It should be, hey, I'm 9th level with this character now. What am I going to lose if I keep pushing this character up the line past 9th level or past 7th level or past, whatever it is? Every character, every class really should have something inside each tier, like level 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20. There should be something every 4 levels in every class, or if not, any subclass that supports that class. There should be something every tier where it's like, boy, if I don't stay with this class, I'm going to lose all these extra features. What's in the first tier of another class that's comparable or better than what I'm going to get out of the Arcane Archer at 15th level? Like, is it worth it for me bailing on this class after 7th or 9th or 11th level and pick up a different class? Like, the idea of sticking with Arcane Archer to 18th level is fucking ridiculous. Like we talked about last week, once you get to 3rd level, you're kind of done with Arcane Archer. You get the 2 shots that you want, and you bail into Wizard or something else, wherever else you want to go. But if you stick with this class and you buy down all of these shots down to only 1 mana a pop, that's pretty good. And I think that hopefully that's a strong enough argument to want to stick around past 10th level to keep buying down the cost of this stuff, just so you can get the CC advantage off of it, if that makes sense. I've probably pontificated about that enough at this point, but that's the point. That's where I was trying to go with this. Get every one of these subclasses to the point where you're like, fuck, if I bail out of this at 10th level, I'm going to lose out and out and out on this class. If we see the transition in 1 D&D to have the standardized 1, 6, 10, 14, then we buy down at 6, we buy down at 10, we buy down at 14. Or I could just curve it at 10th and then 14th and then again at 18th level as a kicker feature. There's a number of different ways we could dice it depending on what Wizards ends up doing with the scaffolding for subclasses. But I want every one of these classes to be at a place where it's like, if I bail out of this before 18th level, I'm missing out. That's ultimately our goal here, to get us to a place where marshals have shitloads of options, and being able to switch out their entire category, like their entire power list every level, allows them to completely redefine and rebuild their character when the wizard and the cleric get their third level spells at 5th, or to completely rebuild themselves when the full casters at 11th level get their 6th level spells and redefine how the group is rallying their action economy around each other as a group. Like, you can continuously redefine your character's use in the party so he doesn't become a dead fish after, say, 7th level. So that's the ideas behind that. Looking at so this Arcane Archer, looking at the 5e Arcane Archer, your 3rd Archer with a 4th rank quiver. Cheers, man. But that I am really hoping that as we go through this process, we can build out all of these so they become. Yeah, I think I probably said enough. I want these things to all be like, I am going to regret not sticking with this class. Like, if I really want to make this class awesome, I need to stick with it to the end. We've made multi-classing among these so transparent. Like, you actually gain advantage. Like, you get more powers and more mana if you break up. If you actively multi-class, you'll end up with more powers. You just won't be able to learn powers at the same rank. Like, you'll eventually be able to channel up to 5 mana no matter what. Just like a 10-10 cleric wizard will eventually have, for whatever reason, a 9th level spell slot. You'll still have it. It's just you'll only be able to cast 5th level spells with it. So, cheers. But we don't have that problem because our shit caps at 13th level. And even if it does, most of the stuff that you want, like, the vast majority of powers that you can even learn in this system are gained by 5th level. From there, you could go like ranger, paladin, monk, fighter, 5, 5, 5, 5, and end up with 24 powers that can be 2nd rank or lower. And you would end up with 5 ki, 5 mana from the fighter on a long rest, 10 ranger, and 10 paladin. You'd have 30 mana, 5 of which you can automatically regain on a short rest. Like, that's a powerhouse. But you're really limiting your options of what powers you can learn only up to 2nd rank, and you don't gain any of the higher level features for pushing your character into specialization into a single class. And I want that decision to hurt. Like, if you're playing just a generalist and you just want to dip into a number of different things, 5-5-5-5 is actually a really great solution using the system, because you'll be able to channel 2nd rank powers throughout all of them and get all that added mana and power economy to really just have a huge list of things that you can do. Just none of them are outrageously powerful. It's just a lot of basic spammable things that you'll want to have access to, and you'll have so much added powers that you could afford to buy down all of those down to 1 mana. So, because we have so I'm really rambling today, just kind of running all over the place, but I didn't have a huge agenda, and we pretty much hit it. But one of the really coolest things is the efficient power feat, and that requires 5th level plus a channeling class feature. It's repeatable. Choose a power you've learned at 2nd rank or higher. Reduce the rank and amount of mana to channel this power by 1. If you later swap this power for another blah, 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 you have to reverse it. So, like, if you're taking the 5-5-5-5 option, the max rank you can ever know of a power is 2nd, but you have 24 powers and you would normally have 16. If you only learned 16 powers, and again, when you gain 3rd rank, you're going to get a shitload of bonus powers on top of it. But all these things at 5th level, you can start spending. Your extra powers to buy down your 2nd rank powers to be 1st rank. So you're always just spending 1 mana, and you'd have a mana pool of 30 mana to spend on just 1 at a time. So you could just spam the fuck out of everything you have. I'm excited about how dynamic, fluid, and how you are rewarded for specializing in one class and one subclass route, but you are also rewarded for diversifying. The system doesn't care if you're multi-classing or single-classing, because you're gaining advantages off of both of them. I'm excited about that. So that's something that this whole idea is something I would happily export into a separate system if I ever get to that place. So, having rambled on enough about that crap, how am I sitting on my time? I don't even think I've hit my first 20-minute mark. Nope, because I forgot to hit the timer. There we go. Let's see. Curbing shot, done. Ever ready shot. This was the last thing that we needed to resolve. Ever ready shot. At 15th level, when you channel strike powers during an action surge. Oh, yeah, great. 15, when you channel strike powers during an action surge, you can channel strikes through ranged attacks up to your current max channel without spending. There we go. I can word that better. Every shot. It's not aptly titled, but that was the title that it gave in the original feature. The original feature was if you're out of shots when you roll initiative, you get another shot. We are rewording that. So at 15th level, when you use an action. How am I supposed to word that? Hey, Nick. How compatible would you say the system is with characters with no magical flavoring whatsoever? How compatible? I don't think I understand the question. Like, this is a completely opt-in system, so you don't have to use it at all if you don't want to. It's just an alternate spell system. Like, if I just want to make fighters. Right, as I am what to do, would I be able to use martial powers to do that, or is the system pretty specifically tied to magic? It's a separate action economy that can be strapped on to any character. So, or I don't know if that's the right way to word it. It's like a ranger, paladin, fighter. A ranger or paladin that has a spell list. would basically be able to pick up these powers as alternates to spellcasting. Instead of learning, I don't know, entangling shot, you can learn entangling strike, for instance. But as a straight fighter or a straight barbarian, one of the recommendations that is there is that you can, if you feel that martials aren't keeping up with spellcasters in general, you can leave your fighter completely as it is, with your fighter subclass as it is, and just staple this system onto it, where you would end up with 20 mana over the course of 20 levels, and you would have 16 powers that you can learn over 20 levels. You can leave your class completely as it is, like for the Arcane Archer, for instance. If you wanted to leave the Arcane Archer as listed, you can. And then if you stapled this system on top of it, then you would have 16 powers that you could spend 20 mana over the course of a day to do anything else that you wanted with. If you wanted to give them extra feats, then you could just spend the powers to gain 16 feats over the course of 20 levels. Or if you wanted to give them some buff abilities, then you could take any of these sustained concentration powers and just tack these on. Like they could self-cast haste. But otherwise, it's just a normal Arcane Archer, or it's just a normal Battle Master, or it's just a normal Crusader? No. Cavalier, for instance. So it modifies the classes as much as you want. So I need to create alternate subclass groupings for these things to lean into what martial powers is, if you want to make this your first option inside of the campaign for any martial class. But if the DM doesn't want that, the DM could reward any of these powers as, say, once per short rest feats. Like, I'm going to take a feat, say I'm 16th level as a fighter, which gives me access to 4th rank powers. The DM could allow you to take a feat to learn a single power up to your max rank. And you could use it, say, once per short rest. You could then go through the entire list and cherry pick an ability that you think is fucking cool from the entire book of lists and just add that on. So it replaces as much of the normal 5e system as you want, or as little as possible. You could decide that rogues could have access to exploits as feats, but nothing else. Or you could decide a barbarian has access to maneuvers, but nothing else. Since there's no concentration required, then a barbarian using rage could potentially use any of these features if the DM allowed it, which needs to be a section that we have. We've started in on that work in the DM section, but I think there's more for us to say down there. But having said all of that, as much or as little as you want. Obviously, it's a third-party project. So if you aren't interested in it at all, fuck off. Don't buy the book. But you'll be able to read the whole thing first to see if it's worth your time or not. But yeah, even if you just wanted to dip your toes into it, like, hey, here's some cool stuff I can give an 18th level fighter who's like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life at this point? I don't know. Why don't you become indestructible for a little while? Spend a feat and get access to it. Or you can spend multiple feats and get multiple uses of it per short rest. So it's very flexible. Hopefully that's coming across. Hopefully that's a satisfying answer for you. But the idea of this being ultra flexible is the ideal. Like, you may decide this is OP for a monk for some reason. But you could also say, hey, I don't want anybody in the game having strikes except for a paladin. But I like how this system works, and I want to give paladin more strike options. Then you can just say, hey, only a paladin can have strikes in this. Like, you just pluck that list. A rogue could have access to maneuvers, reactions, and exploits, but that's it. And then the barbarian could have access to maneuvers and reactions, and that's it. The fighter could have access to sustain. You could decide, like, the fighter could have access to strikes also. So, like, only the paladin and the fighter have access. So it's completely piecemeal. You can add in or take out as much of it to each class or for your entire campaign. Incredibly adaptable. We have the starts of a section down below about, like, which of the 5 disciplines of power, exploits, maneuvers, reactions, strikes, and sustained powers, which 2 of those are most iconic to each of the martial classes, and which ones are secondary. So you can decide that rogues in your game, again, like, only have access to exploits and reactions. Like if you're going to use if you're going to use your sneak attack as a reaction, here's things that you could use your sneak attack for instead, for instance. So the other feature that we had in here, Ever Ready Shot. So again, that was originally whenever you roll initiative, you gain 1 use. We are attempting to modify that. The language that we want to use is that if you're using action surge, if you use a strike maneuver, if you use a strike power during your action surge, you can use that at no cost. So I'm trying to figure out the wording on that. So at 15th level, when you use an action surge, when you channel a strike power during an action surge, this is why we hire editors, make sure we make the words smart, but this is where I'm trying to take this to. When you channel at 15th level, oh, that's a good limiter. At 15th level, when you channel a strike power during an action surge, oh God, what a clumsy statement. 15th level, when you channel a strike power during an action surge, that makes sense so far. Up to your max. 15th level, when you channel a strike power during an action surge, you can use. See, it's redundant already. Fuck. What am I actually trying to achieve with this? Once per action surge, free to use up to your max channel limit. Because at 15th level, you only have 4th rank, and you have up to 5th rank as a fighter. But if I don't get to 18th, if I don't get to 17th level as a fighter, I'm capped at 4. But these are the two things that I want to have inside of here. Once per action surge, I can make a channel at 15th level. That's it. At 15th level, during an action, at 15th level, when using an action surge to make attacks, I can channel 1 strike power up to your maximum channel limit as a fighter at no cost. Maybe that's good wording. Without spending any mana. So at 15th level, that'd be a max channel of 4. I could spend 4 mana for free during an action surge. At 15th level, I think I have that once per day. Hardly broken, but it's a pretty fucking kick-ass feature. It's a really good complement to all this down cost casting that we have. I could cast this thing with only 1 mana, but during an action surge, I can do it for 4. I can do it for 4 mana at no cost. Boy, that's really good value. Hey, more notes. I suppose the question is how easy is it to reflavor the power system as non-magical? It's just a mana resource, so it's whatever you want. You don't have to define it as magical if you don't want to. There's nothing inherently magical about it other than if you have an active effect, it could be dispelled. Can't be countered by magic because they're not spells. There's always some sort of an indication. If you are being targeted by a power, you know you are being targeted by a power. And you know where the source is from unless the channeler is using subtle channeling that conceals who is the source of the power, though a target will know they're being targeted by power. So if you're hit by something, you always know, like if it's like a curse that that gives you disadvantage on intelligence saving throws, for instance, like as a super specific example, you know that a power is afflicting you, that's cursing you that way. You know you're being affected, and if the user isn't it doesn't have subtle isn't using the exploit subtle channeling, you're hit and you'll know either who it is or from the direction that it's coming from. So there is no stealth effect that happens unless you're paying extra to get that stealthiness, if that makes sense. I'm trying to grok out how to adapt the 5e Mystics talent plus discipline psionic system into a martial system called exploits. Yeah, it leans itself into it. The really cool thing about the Mystic was that it had its kit of powers that advance from 1st to 5th rank effectively. So as long as you build a theme of escalating options, you can easily kit that out as exploits, as an exploit system. It's just you got to know what your theme is and make sure that they generally are staying in their own lane from each other. If you're going to call them a discipline, like each discipline rank of 1 to 5 options, that discipline biometabolism discipline might have like alter self, enlarge, polymorph, stuff like that, a vestige of stone, things like that. That could be a scaling system from 1 to 5 that has its own metamorphic theme attached to it, for instance, which doesn't necessarily have to be. It's not magic unless you say it is. But if it's like a supernatural effect or something, generally having the ability to stop something is good. If it's a sustained effect that has like a duration, typically the way that's expressed in 5e specifically, obviously, is magic. And then dispel magic is kind of the trump card, or like anti-magic field is kind of the trump card against these different effects. That if it's like a magical of nature, then when you get hit by these things, it's a way to turn it off. But it requires action economy and resources normally to turn these things off. So then it becomes a cat and mouse of creature turned off my thing, I'm going to spend mana to turn it back on again. So you're basically, or I'm going to go rest the encounter without that thing because my action economy right now is so valuable, I can't waste it turning that thing back on, is typically what we see. I think it's really smart to do martial is to have individual abilities that you can use whenever, right? As well as a kind of theme package of specific moves and stances. This one's, yeah, sure. Yeah, I actually think the weapon masteries that Wizards is introducing as possible content for the revised 6th edition, that curves in really well with this, because those are effectively just cantrips. Like it would be like a 0 mana exploit or a 0 mana strike power, like the push. Like I hit you with a hammer and I push you 10 feet, right? We have a thundering strike in here that does extra damage plus 10 feet of push for every mana that you put into it. So if you had, say, the push mastery, you're using a hammer, you're going to get that power basically as a that strike power is a cantrip. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. It doesn't deal any extra damage, but it gives you the extra benefit. Like you could have like a shocking cantrip. Well, we already have shocking grasp as a cantrip that does damage and it takes away your reaction. But as a martial power cantrip, then you'd be able to have shocking grasp, no extra damage. But if I hit you with the attack, you don't have any reactions this round. Like I could take every strike that we have in this document so far, all 28 powers that we have that are strikes, we could potentially just remove extra damage, and thus they become a cantrip. Anything that's a first rank power could easily be converted into one of these cantrip ideas. But you could also do the same. Like that was one of the things I was considering. Like what if we made like twice per short rest, you could take any strike that you know and turn it into a cantrip. You can no damage, no extra damage, no mana cost, just the effect. Like I banish you. There you go. Like that was an option, but I decided to keep a mana cost involved with it, except for the power strike or the action surge that we just did. But let's go up here and just take a quick look here. 20. There we go. 22 strikes. We got of those 22 strikes. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 of them are first rank. It's like any of these things could easily be converted into a 0-cost cantrip. Like Disarming Strike, right? It is 1 power die plus the power die goes towards the DC of disarming somebody. And then the weapon or whatever the object is lands within, 10 feet of the distance of the target, depending on how much mana we spend. Like the minimum would be 10, right? So if I hit you with a strike, they make the saving throw. If they succeed, they keep their weapon. It's just a disarming attack. Those things already exist inside the system. They don't cost any mana to use them. But using the mana here, it increases the DC and it increases the damage. So Freezing Strike, it slows you. It halves your movement in addition to dealing extra damage. But like if I made this a cantrip, 0 cost, anytime I hit you with a Freezing Strike as a cantrip, it would slow your movement, but I wouldn't deal any extra damage. Like that's something that could absolutely be done using the current weapon mastery system that they're proposing. Alt wording for Ever Ready Shot. When you expend... Ooh. Audience help. Thank you. When you expend a use of Action Surge, you can use the additional action to channel 1 power up. 1 power up to your max channel limit without spending the mana to do so. It's actually really good. That's a really good way to word it. I'm going to gank some of that. And I think I need to modify it a little bit, but it's a pretty good take there, buddy. Thanks, Knack. There. At 15th level, you can use Action Surge to make Well, the strike only triggers on a hit. And if it misses, so it would have its normal action economy use. So 15th level, while using an Action Surge, yeah, to make attacks, you at 15th level, while using an Action Surge, to make attacks, if one still fucking around with that. God, what goofy language. Yeah, this is only for strikes. Strikes, well, this specific power is only for strikes. Like, I don't want, like, because the whole class is built around I can do cool stuff with my shots. So, and so you make an attack. If you hit, then just like smites, after the fact, you apply the hit. So if I hit you, I can then spend mana to deal extra damage and whatever the strike effect is. So at 15th level, at 15th level, what? Once. Nope. Well. When you expend a use of Action Surge, you can use the additional action to channel 1 power up to... Yeah. Not quite where I need it to be. I do like without spending mana to do so. I suspect that's the right way to word it. At 15th level, while using an Action Surge to make attacks... the first... While using Action Surge to make additional attacks, the first attack that hits you can... That's horrible. That's horrible. You can choose one in power, but that helps. That helps because at 15th level you're gonna have 3 attacks, so you can miss with the first, second, and third, and then you're fucked. But if you miss with the first, hit with the second, that's when you would be able to trigger this. That's where you want to be at inside of this. Hey Hornetico, it's good to see you, my guy. When you expend the use of action surge to use the attack action, you can channel 1 strike power up to your fighter channel limit without spending. Oh, let's make sure. That could be it, man. When you expend a use of action surge to use the attack action, you can channel 1 strike power up to your channel limit. I think that's good enough. It might need tweaking, but that gets the point across. Well done, my man. Thank you. At 15th level, when you expend a use of action surge to use the attack action, you can channel 1 strike power up to your fighter channel limit without spending the mana to do so. Let's use actual words now. I'm a good typer. See me type well. Get that movie typing where they're just like like a T-Rex trying to do his taxes. At 15th level, when you when I'm going to word it like this though. While at 15th level, while using action surge to use the attack, oh, I see the redundancy there. While using action surge to take the attack action, you can channel 1 strike power. You can channel 1 strike up to your channel. You can channel 1 strike up to your max rank gained as a fighter without spending mana to do so. So at 15th level, while using action surge to take the attack action, you can channel 1 strike while using action surge to take the attack action. You can channel 1 strike up to your max rank gained as a fighter without spending mana to do so. I think that works. Thank you. Thank you. I'm in. Nice. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's still very simple, but it is providing a shitload more value into what an Arcane Archer is. So I'm pretty happy with that. We've been live for an hour and 4 minutes. So, what do we want to do next? I don't think I have time to really dive into something, but we've got barbarian, rogue, and fighter subclasses to build out. We have a fighter now. We have 2 barbarians. We have the battle rage. Oh no, we have the ancestral guardian. We have the battle rager, and we have the path of the beast. All 3 of these are built out for the barbarian in its alpha test model right now. And again, this is now, if you check in the description down below, you'll see a link to my Patreon that'll lead you to looking at this document as a read-only document. You are most welcome to explore this as much as you want if you're interested in it at all. I am sorely tempted to create an ad hoc sort of dungeon delve where people can just build out martial characters in a party and just go tear up random dungeons. That kind of sounds like a fun idea that I might get into. I'm really tempted to do that. Maybe once the Spelljammer book is off my plate and we're only working on Eberron and this book, maybe I can dedicate my Saturday time slot to running like a 3-hour dungeon delve, just for the fuck of it. For people to build out stuff like this in a party just to see how it plays out for them. That would be kind of fun. So we have 3 from Barbarian, so I think I want to let that one sit for the rest of the team to catch up. For the fighter, we have the Arcane Archer. That is the only one so far. And we've done the Assassin for the Rogue so far. So I think we need either another fighter or another Rogue subclass. Yeah, let's go. I don't know. Let's maybe we'll just do a randomizer. Let's go to Rogue real quick. Count out what we got, and then let's just do one. We've got Arcane Trickster special because it has a spell list, and basically all that the martial power system does is allow the Arcane Trickster to pick a power instead of a spell. Not a big change. Same thing with Elder's Knight. You can pick powers instead of spells, but otherwise everything else is the same. Very minimal there. And we've done Assassin. So Trickster's off the plate, Assassin's off the plate. That leaves us with what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we'll do a reroll on an... Let's just go to... random.org. And let's put in a 7. And let's just randomly generate a 4. One, two, three, scout. Cool. Yeah, we literally changed nothing on the Assassin. There's absolutely nothing about the Assassin that needed to change. We just added a bunch of free features and gave them a power supply. That's probably a really good example of your original question, Knack. That like if I wanted to use the system with classes out of the book as is. This is a perfect example of that. Nothing, like everything about the Assassin kit was fine, and none of it contradicted stuff that we added to the martial power system. So you could play an Assassin as listed, but now you've got 8 power. You've got basically 10 powers that you get for free, plus the stack of 16 up above, with the 20 mana over the course of the day. So there you go. That's a decent example. Let's go to Scout. I think the Soul Knife is going to be the most interesting one to work on. But we'll work on Scout first. Notepad. Let's just look at these real quick. We'll build out. I won't have time to finish this today because I'm currently on borrowed time. Not really borrowed. I've got like maybe... How much time do we actually have left? Like 10 minutes, maybe? Eight. Okay, I've got 8 minutes. So let's just chew on these things a little bit. No. Thank you. And we'll have to re-kit all of these. let's just take a first blush look at the features. And then when we come back next week, we will finish out the scout and then do another random pull and do another another rogue. That sounds like a fun thing to do. So skirmisher, starting at 3rd level, you are difficult to pin down during a fight. You can move up to half your speed as a reaction when an enemy ends its turn within 5 feet of you. This movement doesn't provoke. I'm fine with leaving that as is. No need to change that. No change. Survivalist. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you gain proficiency in the nature and survival skills if you don't already have it. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that use either of those proficiencies. I'm going to actually... Oh my god, what is going on in my world? Oh, my shift button's down. No changes. But I want to leave this here for reference. Because what these things can do helps inform what powers we would grant. Like having a power that speeds up your movement would be great to complement the skirmisher, for instance. Or like an exploit that gives you an extra power die to your proficiency to your skill check when you use either nature or survival. That would be really useful. But as it stands, neither one of these need modification either. Changes. Oy vey, this is going to be another one that requires no changes. 9th level, your walking speed increases by 10 feet. If you have climbing or swinging speed, this increase applies to that speed as well. Wow, another no changes. This is getting ippy. Ambush Master, starting at 13th level. You excel at leading ambushes and acting first in a fight. You have advantage on initiative rolls. In addition, the first creature you hit during the first round of combat becomes easier for you and others to strike. Attack rolls against that target have advantage until the start of your next turn. Jesus, this one doesn't need any changes either. Sudden Strike. Starting at 17th level, you can strike with deadly speed. If you take the attack action on your turn, you can make one additional attack as a bonus action. That is fucking fantastic. This attack can benefit from your sneak attack even if you've already used it this turn. But you can't use your sneak attack against the same target more than once in a turn. Wow, that's really fucking good. I see no reason to change that either. Wow, this entire class has no changes. Yet again, a no changes class. Like, all those features kick ass. And they will only get better with a power supply and a list of powers to add on to it. So I think I'm just going to leave that there. And when we come back next week, we're going to add to the power list and kit out what those things are supposed to be. Wow, that's insane. The Assassin and the Scout both are fine as is, benefiting only from added powers and a power supply for which to use them. So that's, well, we achieved our goal for today to make sure the Arcane Archer works well, and that the Scout, and we get the Scout going and the Assassin going for next week. What's the rest of my schedule? Tonight, in approximately 5 hours, I'll be doing more Eberron cartography. We'll be coloring the refugee village. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back on my normal schedule of working on Spelljammer NPC and creature tokens in the morning. Tomorrow lunch, I'm going to have a lunch stream tomorrow to make up for the day that I lost yesterday. But this is going to be unique because Ukulele Bard, Joseph Vargas, for those that don't know, he has hired me to create a book cover for a new RPG that he is designing. So we are going to do some initial sketches and just playing with the creative space for a book cover. Tomorrow in approximately, I'd say in about maybe 21, 22 hours. But yeah, that's, we normally don't stream on Wednesday, and we typically don't have a tangent, but Ukulele Bard, who helped me with building the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book, as well as the rest of the Command Mechanics series. He was part of our creative process, and part of the payment that we've negotiated for that work was I make him a book cover. So we're going to begin that process tomorrow at lunchtime, and it'll be a casual affair. It needs to be done. It needs to be done before July is over. So that is going to be our goal. It's a kind of a Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda, Overland. Basically like an environmental landscape painting, which is stuff that I excel at. So I'm really looking forward to this being a fun little romp through just imagining some landscape and building that on stream with you guys. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. So tonight, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll fall back into our normal rhythm of Thursday morning, Thursday evening for more Eberron cartography, Friday morning, Saturday morning, and then loop back around to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There we go. So anyway, I'm out for now. I'll be back in 5-ish hours. Be welcome to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter to get notifications that I'm live. Check out my Patreon for some free read-only content here for you to playtest with. Check out the books I have down below. If you want to support the channel, like, subscribe. Be welcome to join my Patreon, buy some of my books. All of it goes towards keeping me online and keeping us building. So thanks all for swinging by, guys. I'll see you all on the other side. Cheers.